I won't be buying The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's just not enough for me as a Zelda fan. I know a lot of people were hyped during the direct, but for me, I was kind of underwhelmed. I wasn't really a big fan of the Mario and Luigi series. I've already played Donkey Kong Country Returns like 15 times, and it seems like Metroid Prime 4 has me hanging on by a thread in terms of being a Nintendo customer. Other than Metroid, I could really care less for Nintendo's future games. And when it comes to Echoes of Wisdom, I just know I'm not going to like it because I was barely on board with Link's Awakening, and it seems like this game suffers from all the same issues in modern Zelda games. Now, let's just get this out of the way. I do not like the art style. So yeah, I was one of those people that thought Link's Awakening was way too cutesy. I wasn't a big fan of Yoshi's Woolly World taking the real world objects kind of style, and I'm just not a fan of Link's Awakening or Echoes of Wisdom with this diorama art style. I much prefer the chunky pixels of the Game Boy version, but let's be real, Nintendo isn't going to sell pixel graphics for $60. And there lies the problem. When they have to justify selling everything for $60. And if this game was half of the asking price, I feel like they would have made it into a pixel art style similar to Cadence of Hyrule. Which, oh my god, think of how awesome it would be to play a 2D Zelda game with those type of pixel graphics. But for the sake of evergreen sales, let's make our game blindingly bright and colorful and turn Link into a glossy plastic toy with the depth of field slider all the way to 100. Hell yeah, now we're modern gaming. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. Go ahead and call it the Zelda cycle or whatever you want to call it, but I've loved every new art style throughout the series. I love the realistic art style of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, and I love the cel-shaded style of Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, and beyond. But every time I look into Link's soulless black eyes, it's creepy. And it's the same here with Echoes of Wisdom. I think a game that has a similar art style to this but does this really well is Tunic. It still pulls off that diorama look to it, but it has more of a softer palette without that glossy shine to everything, instead of being too oversaturated. And also, it has really good lighting too, which helps it look more modern. And I think if Nintendo were to use something similar to this art style, they'd be able to justify selling it for $60, like I know they want to. So after seeing all the gameplay for Echoes of Wisdom, if this is gonna be the Zelda series moving forward, I think I'm just done. I've said this before, but I don't like what they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But I was able to come to grips with it, and I said, okay, if this is what they're doing with the 3D games, cool. At least I know when we get a new 2D game, they'll be more like the classic Zelda experiences. But no, that's not what's happening. It seems like Zelda is becoming more of a Minecraft game. Instead of well-crafted dungeons, puzzles, and exploration with a more Metroid-like item progression, we have sandbox crafting games. I don't play Zelda games to stack furniture. This shit is crazy to me. You know, for some of us, The Legend of Zelda is a system seller, okay? The whole reason I bought a Nintendo Switch is to play Zelda. And I feel like for a lot of people, if they no longer have that incentive anymore, Mario might not be enough to get people to buy the Nintendo Switch too. That's just my opinion though. I know there's a lot of new fans that love the open-air Zelda games, but I've seen this happen before. Does anybody remember the Resident Evil series and how Resident Evil 4 split the fan base? Remember Resident Evil 6 and how Capcom was only pandering to the new fans and the disaster that happened because of it? I feel like I can see the exact same thing happening with Zelda. older fans getting sick of the series, and new fans getting sick of the repetitive formula of shrine hopping across a copy-pasted Hyrule. Now, I saved this one for last because I know that this one is going to lose a lot of people. But I'm gonna say it anyway. I do not want to play as Zelda. When I play a Super Mario game, I expect to be able to play as Mario. When I play a Donkey Kong game, the same thing. I expect to be able to play as Donkey Kong. So when I play a Zelda game, I prefer and expect to play as Link. Now, before you accuse me of being a sweet baby detective with my DEI magnifying glass, like, oh my god, it's a female protagonist. This game, it has to be woke. Please, it's not because Zelda is a girl. If I'm playing a Metroid game, I expect to play as Samus Aran. And if I'm playing Bayonetta, I want to play as Cereza. The fact that we even have these conversations about video games, it's retarded to me, okay? I don't see why wanting to play as the same protagonist that we've been playing as since the 80s is divisive in any way. The world is so offended by everything these days. If I say that I miss when Zelda was a damsel in distress and Link being the hero that rescues the princess and saves the day, I'm suddenly being dehumanizing towards women. Clearly, we have regressed as a society. I mean, alright, here's an example. Look at Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Nobody devalued her as a character because she spent the majority of her screen time screaming. In fact, Mary Jane is an incredibly complex character because she enhances Spider-Man as a character. We don't love Spider-Man because he's the hero. We love Spider-Man because he's that dorky kid trying to impress the girl next door. To me, Link is the classic knight in shining armor. Or in his case, a green tunic and funny hat. And without Zelda, he's just not a hero. Zelda might not be the hero, but that doesn't diminish her role in the games. She's not just a MacGuffin. She's there to inspire us to become the hero and have the courage to wield the blade of evil's bane. And sometimes that means rescuing the princess and saving the day. So yeah, that's the reason I am not really on board with Echoes of Wisdom. You guys can roast me in the comments and say whatever you want, but you know, this is really just my opinion. And if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you watching and stay tuned for what's next. Alright, bye.